I was supposed to have brought my telephoto lens, but I grabbed the wrong one. I brought my wide angle lens, and I didn't even realize it at first. Um, until I was like saying, "Uh-oh, what happened here? Why doesn't it? Why ain't I getting a good zoom? I mean, a real deep zoom on this thing." And then I realized that I grabbed the wrong one. Silly Flatard.
Nope, gotta get rid of that. Oh, no wonder. I brought the wrong one. Isn't that nice? I was supposed to bring my telephoto lens, not my wide angle lens. Let's see if it'll work out anyhow here.
Alright, one of the things I'm going to do too is I'm going to establish where I actually have my camera, because I actually took it down off the seawall here at Bayport and got down by the rocks because it was such a low tide. I wanted to get as close to the water as possible. So I even lowered my tripod down to 2/3 of the setting and went from there. Okay, this little point right here that's sticking out, this land, is a mile away. So that boat is a lot farther than a mile away behind it. It's actually coming out of Hernando Beach Channel. And those markers you see out there are the channel markers for Hernando Beach. And you see that he's going in between them. Also, look at this bird, how it blocks out your whole view of that boat. So that's perspective for you. Alright, too, one of the things I want to bring up is when this boat comes out from the side over here, and, you know, watch when I zoom in on it, you'll see that there is some mirroring going on. As I zoom up to the boat, you will notice some mirroring happening. Here, if I can get on it here. But also, you'll notice that this boat continues to ride that same water line. How can that be? You know, riding the same water line as this boat just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So how can that happen? You know, people will say, well, you know, it's going over the curve and part of the bottom is getting blocked out. But no, it isn't. Watch it. It's just the boat's getting smaller, so everything else is getting smaller. It is called perspective, people. And if you don't understand what it is, right there at the very beginning, when you seen that bird in front of that boat, it blocked out the whole boat because the bird is closer. So as this boat gets farther away, the waves itself will block out the bottom of the boat because you are going to get to a point in this mirroring area that you don't even see the waves. So it's actually the waves that you don't see that are blocking out some portion of the lower hull of the boats. I tell you, I've done this a lot, and I've reviewed a lot of my videos, and this is exactly how I see it. Whether you do or not, that's up to you.
Let's see where my tripod's not all the way down. Got one of the shorter settings. Water's not far off here, so I'm no more than 5 feet off the water. Let's See if I can find this boat in here again.
Actually, I think I was a little bit, about maybe 4.5 feet off the water itself where I was located. Because like I said, I was down under the wall, under the seawall with my tripod set lower than normal. It's not set at its full 5.5 foot height. I got to measure this. I have before, but I got to measure it again.
Okay, I'm sitting right here. Let's see where my tripod's not all the way down. So one of the shorter settings. Water's not far off here. So I'm no more than 5 feet off the water. Let's see if I can find this boat in here again. There he is. I don't think you can see it. I'm going to step back. Give you a good idea where I'm at. My camera's under the seawall, down below the seawall. Okay. Alright, just wanted to establish that.
Okay, I wasn't going to talk a lot in this, but as you see, I do need to explain what I'm seeing. You see these lines out there that are, you know, like water lines, smooth areas, calm areas, a little bit of rougher areas. And a lot of times, or actually most of the time, what I get, even look at this other bird rack that's out there. That's another bird rack, and that thing is way out there. That thing's miles out there. And all these bird racks stick up approximately, you know, 10, 11, 12 feet, depending on the tide. So this bird rack is way out there. I should not be able to see this bird rack. But getting back to this water, and here's another bird that's gonna block out this boat. It's funny, you know, because people don't understand perspective, and that is perspective, that a closer object's going to block out a farther object, even though it's a lot smaller than that object that's out there. And that's just showing you that the distance of that object or this boat is a hell of a lot farther away than what you would think it would be. To have that bird blocking it out, that boat is probably 3-4 miles away from you as it is. Okay, but you know, you can see the wakes that this thing's making, and you see this, how this water's got these calm spots. A lot of times what happens is it starts mirroring at the one just below the boat, and this area right here, you would not see the waves, you would not see the wake of the boat. And again, this is establishing that this boat is making a wake. But if you go back and review a lot of my videos, you will see that even boats that I'm catching coming from the same angle, the same direction, will appear to be mirroring an awful lot. And you can definitely find this in some of my earlier videos of my boat tracking. So again, you wouldn't be able to see this wake or this wave. You might see a little bit of the wake, whatever comes up high enough for my camera to resolve, but anything else you would not see. Even the water would look just like a mirror. So these are things that I like to, you know, really discuss it with you, to give you what I'm seeing, that smaller detail that a lot of people overlook and they don't pay attention to. Like I said, a lot of the boats that I do video, they're on top of the mirror by now, and then what it looks like is it looks like it's floating in the air. But this was another really good day where our atmosphere was not full of the humidity that it normally is here in Florida. We had some nice cool days, nice crisp cool days. So basically it really cut down on the humidity and didn't allow for a lot of this mirroring effect to occur. But there was a little bit of mirroring effect when it was coming out from that first edge of that little point. Like I said, that point is a mile away, but the channel markers at Hernando Beach, where these are coming out, I haven't measured it exactly, but I do believe it's at least 3 miles away too. And you can obviously see that this boat is all the way on the water. It's not being cut off by any water. The only water that's cutting it off is the wake that this boat is producing as it's moving. And you can even see those on some of the videos that I posted for Hernando Beach Island when I was over there filming boats coming right out of Hernando Beach. Now these lines are a little more prominent when I zoom back a little bit, and as I zoom in, you'll see them, and as this boat gets farther out, you'll see them. You know, and these are the things that I like to bring to people's attention. You know, these smaller details that they'll see. And I follow this boat for quite a ways. And you can actually see this water starting to become very hard for the camera to resolve because of the angular resolution. At this angle, the camera struggles to determine what I'm actually filming. So you see how you get this ripple, like when you're zooming in on the moon, you'll get this ripple too. Also, you got to realize too that the farther this object's getting away from me, my camera's having a harder time even focusing on it. So it loses a little bit of its focus. But look at this water line that you see, these layers. These layers, like I said, normally this boat would be appearing as if it's floating in the air. But on good days where the visibility is good and the humidity is low and the barometric pressure is also low, I do believe it was falling, you will get this better visibility. And it's this visibility that allows me to see certain things, and you know, later on in this video you'll see some more. It's quite long. I'm making this unlisted, but I might make it public. I'm gonna make it unlisted for a few other people to see. Now this boat's turning away from me and it starts to go south. Now I'm gonna go to its back to the regular audio and just let you listen to what I say as I'm filming this boat.
So he's going further away from me, and then now he's going even farther away by going further south. Now there is a little mirroring line there, just at the edge of the water. You can see it. Look how the water is like moving like the edge of the moon.
Okay, I do want to say one thing is just look at the tail end of that boat, how the boat's actually just smaller, but you can still see the back deck of this boat is still above the water. It's just skinnier, smaller. That's what we see in perspective to its distance.
Here's a good example of this water that's right at the bottom of the screen. Is much closer. And then as you move out toward the boat, it's all that water is compressed, so there's miles in that little strip of water right there. And people don't realize that little strip of water is miles. I might try to use this one and do a little graph lines on it to show you what I'm talking about.
Okay, normally everything above that line is all getting mirrored, and that's all you'll see is this mirroring of the boat and the sky. So, you know, you might want to take another look at
See how he moves across the screen when he goes left or to the south. He's going a little faster than he was when he was going directly away from me. Parallax. Something that goes by closer will zoom right by my camera, while something farther away is moving a lot slower.
And they could actually be moving at the same speed, but this was what you get.
And it's Halloweeny night.
Did you see that monster fish jump? That was a mullet. What we call mullet. Smoked mullet. Good.
I'm going to zoom back in on him. I got 2.5 minutes approximately here. Wish I would have brought the telephoto lens. What's really weird is I can actually see water beyond this boat in my camera, but I don't know how it will show up on the computer. If you'll see that thin blue line above the water line here.
Now you go out back to my video of where I went out for my crazy day of observations. Well, I took pictures of these bird racks all the way out there. So and I even marked them on my GPS. But my problem with my GPS is that I have it's old and I got these lines cutting through it, and they cover up some of my numbers. So I can't figure out exactly what they say. I'm trying to see if I can't get that resolved. But another thing what you can take into consideration is what does a magician use to fool you or create illusions, right? Smoke and mirrors. So this mirroring edge out there is what deceives you. Now for me, I can still pretty much see the edge of that. The back deck of this boat is still visible, but it is starting to get blocked off by these closer waves because my camera cannot resolve or render the video or the stuff that's further beyond this water line that I actually can resolve. So I'm resolving something that's closer, and everything that's farther back is probably a little bit out of focus. So you are not rendering it very well, or the camera's not rendering it very well, and you could tell that by that other bird rack that was even closer. So take that into consideration.
That's as best as I can get it now, guys. How tiny that boat is now. Dude, I'm telling you, I shouldn't see that boat that tiny. Look, you can still see its masks. And it's having a hard time rendering it, resolving it. It's hoping to get into the sun here shortly. Maybe that'll make a little bit of a difference. Wow. Man, this one you could study.
People, this boat is not going over the curve. It's only going out of your line of sight. So you have to research it. You have to look at refraction, diffraction, miraging, mirroring, all these different effects that the atmosphere causes. So these are things that you got to look at. All I can do is give you observational proof of what I'm seeing and then let you make your own decision. And if you think there's a curve out there, that is merely just your opinion, like this is my opinion.
But I can still see him. I can't see him with my eyes. That's for damn sure. There he is still. Oh,
He's just vanishing into the background. He's going to the vanishing point. And at one point here, my camera will no longer be able to resolve that image. It can't render it.
I should not see this boat. Look how small it is in comparison to that damn marker way out there.
Look real close at that edge of that water, people. Look real close at it. It's telling you something. That is the mirror. And that is the smoke that is causing the illusion that it's going over a curve and nothing else. It's going beyond your line of sight. Look at this other boat.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if I still see him or not.
Watch how that bird reacts. I mean, I've got birds that fly in and out of cover, man, beyond that mirror, behind that mirror. It's crazy, but people, you got to research.
He vanished into the background.
And one of the things I'll say too is normally I cannot see water beyond this little point that sticks out. Even when I'm up higher, sometimes you cannot see it. It goes into that mirroring effect, and you do not see that water going beyond that. Like I said, people, it's crazy. You have to go out and you have to do your own observations and prove it to yourself. And that's exactly what I've done. Because I've proved this to myself, and I don't have to prove it to nobody else. But I love sharing my views. I love sharing my observational videos, and I consider it proof to myself. You can consider it whatever you want, whether you're a glober or whether you're a flat earther. But this is the way I see it. And you know, like I said, everybody has a different opinion, and that's fine. But you don't have to downgrade people over their differences of opinions.
Okay, I'm gonna put my solar lens on. Shit. Damn it. So afraid of dropping it, I ain't even getting it onto threads. You can see how small it got.
All right, I put my solar lens on here to see what I could come up with, and to see if I could even follow boats with it. I didn't know how it would come out or what I would actually see, but this was a little experiment I wanted to do. Look at the birds. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of birds out there that day. Um, and you can see how this, all right, there's the camera flare, but you know, when I get it in the center of the screen, there is the sun without all that lighting around it. So there's your silhouette of the sun.
I don't know if you can see all them birds flying by. Well, there was a shitload of them that just flew by. Holy crap. See if I can follow him. Or if he's just going to darken out.
Now watch how fast this boat is moving. I'm telling you, some of these shrimp boats or crab boats, they haul ass out there, man. They move quick. So, you know, look how fast he's going by some of these markers compared to the.
Yeah, he's a little out of focus. I think it's because I got this solar lens on there and I didn't focus it in. Let's see if I can focus it. Forget I got a solar lens on here. Zoom back.
Now, at one point, I had my camera pretty level, but I kind of bumped it because the front leg was hanging off of this flat piece of concrete that I was on, and I had it on a rock, and I bumped it a little bit, so I got it all knocked out of level.
I bumped my tripod and I got it off level. I had it pretty level.
Now, one of the things that you can notice is that light in the back of the boat. It's really not light. That's the sunlight reflecting off of the wake that he's making, or the water back there. Because, like I said, I got this solar filter on there, so it's cutting a lot of the light out. But that's just a reflection of the sun, either off of something shiny off the back of the boat or the water itself. I just did this kind of as an experiment to see what I get, and you can still even see the different layers of water out there. And that's what I was talking about, that those layers, sometimes depending on the atmospheric conditions, sometimes I will get mirroring way up closer to me than that boat is. So you'd actually see almost the whole boat getting mirrored in the water. But again, like this particular day, my visibility was great and I could see very well.
Okay, I got to go to the sun here. So I'm not going to be able to follow this one. Let's see. .644, it's 6:13, and I want to do a 25-minute time lapse, so I got a few minutes left. Actually, I think I'm just going to do a video. And it's getting hard to see this thing too, so alright, let's go back here. Actually, I do want to do something here. Get my camera level again. Okay, there's the main bird rack. And look, you can see water behind it. Now this is the kicker right here. See that bird rack? That's way out there. That's another one that I drove out to, but I can't seem to get the distance off of my GPS. But I'll try again. And there's another object right there, and I think that might be a sign. And there should be no way that I'm picking up that thing because it's only 10 feet tall out there. When you look at it in perspective, it probably is 10 feet tall. You're seeing 10 foot of it, 10, 11 foot of it. And you shouldn't be. I shouldn't even see this sign right here. Okay? And then I'm going to see these two guys here fishing. I've seen this other boat earlier. There he is. I cannot see that boat with my eyes.
This is what's crazy, people, is I look over my camera and I strain my eyes to see where this boat's out there. And sometimes I can just see what looks like a little grain of sand on top of the water. But this one, I couldn't even see that right there. I mean, all I could see was this right here, pretty much. I could see no boats out there at all. And this was the boat that I was following with the solar lens on earlier. So, you know, you could see how fast it moved across the screen because it's hauling ass.
You tell me, usually you cannot, my camera cannot render this because of all the atmospheric conditions. But here it is right there. And I'm going to go back to this bird rack. See that hard water line? Usually all that is mirroring sky. That's impossible. Refraction isn't explaining it. And look at even that sign, way out there. And there's a Bayport bird rack.
And I love showing these kind of observations on this kind of a day where you can see this hard water line and you can see where it could be mirroring at in a lot of my other videos. That softer, lighter blue is usually just being mirrored away and you cannot see nothing beyond it. Well, you can, but the boats look like they're floating on top of the water. So again, you know, I just bring these observations to the table. And whether other people want to use my footage or not, that's totally up to them. You know, I offer them for free, and I find that very few people use them. You know, and I don't know, maybe they think I'm a shill or something, but, you know, these are real observational videos. This is real observational proof in my eyes. And this is what turned me into a flat earther.
Look at that boat in perspective. It's just gotten smaller. It hasn't gone over no curve, and it should have went over a curve a long time ago.
Come on, people, you got to wake up a little bit because, you know, even look at this post being able to block out this boat. It shows you in perspective how far that boat is actually out there. And if you can't consider that or even understand that, you need to research it and see that I shouldn't even be seeing this boat. And you can obviously see the whole ass end of this boat is still up above the water. You can see the whole back deck. And, you know, a lot of people don't look at this. A lot of people don't pay attention to those smaller details like that should be telling you something. But, you know, if you want to stay living in your global world, then go right ahead. It's not going to bother me none. Because like I said, the only person I have to prove it to is myself. So I just share my observationals for other people to look at and for other people to try to understand. And if they don't understand it, it ain't my fault. I can't bring you no more evidence than what I'm already bringing you. And when, like I said, when you look at these water lines, or these different water layers, you can see exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, you know, how this mirroring effect causes things to appear to float. Like normally I would not see this boat getting that small on some of the really humid days. It would just be, like I said, it would be floating, or it would be so distorted that you couldn't see it. Or it would be so distorted that, you know, you wouldn't be able to make out even that it was a boat. But here it is, obviously, and just a little bit ago, you seen some sunlight flash off the windshield of the boat. You can still, like I see the back deck of the boat. You can still see the rigging sticking out on the side of the boat. And this boat should have been well over the other side of the curve by now, because I guarantee you that this boat is more than 4 or 5 miles away. You know, and that's what a lot of people don't take into consideration. I'm not out here to lie to anybody, or try to get somebody to believe me. I'm an observer, man, and I'm bringing observational proof to the community. And if the Globe people don't see this proof as proof, and they want to say that they see that this boat is going over a curve because the lower bottom hull of the boat is getting cut off, how is it getting cut off? I mean, I shouldn't even see this boat to begin with. And all it is, it may be looking like it's getting cut off because it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller in size. So in perspective, you know, if you brought that boat up even closer, you would see that it's the waves that are starting to cut out on the boat, not the boat going over any curvature. And this is what's crazy. You know, you fight with these people, you argue with them, they try to tell you you're stupid, but here I'm giving them observational proof to look at. I'm giving everybody observational proof to look at. And, you know, I feel like I'm the invisible flat earther again, because, you know, nobody's looking at my videos. Nobody's making many comments. I mean, I get a few people tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. They love my work, but then I don't see any comments. I don't see any views being done. So either everybody's given up on me, or my videos are just way too long and they don't want to look at them. They would rather watch somebody else doing some funny, you know, comedy, you know, like Flat Earth Asshole doing his little comedy act. And you see where that got him, and you see where that got everybody else. I mean, even look at this buoy marker in the water in comparison to the boat. You know, damn near thing's bigger than the boat. So, you know, this is perspective for you folks. It's not nothing that I'm trying to lie about, cheat you about. I'm just trying to educate you in what refraction is, angular resolution, diffraction, and how come my camera cannot render everything. At a certain point, it just cannot render it. The angular resolution is so hard. Like I said before in some of my other videos, it's like trying to zoom in on a razor blade's edge, you know, 100 yards away from you. you're just not going to render that razor blade edge. Or try rolling a BB down a bowling alley and see how far you can see it. You know, you're not going to see it for a long ways out. So again, you know, it's up to you to determine what you're seeing, not me. I can only just bring you what I call my evidence. And you can take it or you can leave it. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Like I said, the only person that I have to prove it to is myself. You know, people want to say, well, this guy's the leader of Flat Earth, that guy's the leader of Flat Earth. Well, you know what? Nobody's my leader of Flat Earth. I'm my own leader because I'm the one that has to prove it to myself. I'm not going to just take somebody's word. And who I always respected, not at first too, because like I said, I admitted to him and apologized to him personally on his show, and that's Jeranism. You know, Jeranism was the one that said, hey, don't take my word for it. Go out and do your own research. Go out and do your own observations. You know, more or less, prove it to yourself. Don't take my word for it. So this is exactly what I did. I went out, proved it to myself that this is what I'm seeing. And there's no way in God's flat earth creation could I see this if he would have made this a globe. I should never, not even see this boat at all. This boat should have went well beyond the curve, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. But here it is, still visible on my screen. So, you know, a lot of times I go out here to do the sunsets. And while I get there, if I get there early enough, I like to track these boats and see how far I can track them to. And, you know, if you go back to some of my earlier videos, man, you see these things get distorted and they vanish way beyond what this boat looks like. I mean, it's crazy. That's why I say it. Atmospheric lensing too occurs to where, you know, the sun is what's coming up next. It's going to be my next video. So when you look at atmospheric lensing, can the sun actually look bigger on the horizon than it does directly above you? Yeah, but directly above you, it should look the same size. But this is why, you know, people say, oh, it should get smaller and smaller as it gets further away. No, because all that atmosphere, all those water molecules in the air is what's causing the sun to get bigger and bigger, not smaller and smaller. But I actually think that it does get smaller and smaller within its own reflection as it's reflecting itself off the water. Now, when I do my next video of the sun, I'm using a solar lens on it, so I'm going to get a whole different effect. And I hope you like it.
Okay. Yep, politics and religion, bad to talk about.
Discuss it. It's unbelievable. Blame Trump for everything. What are you doing? Obama turned into
Listen, the media gets you to believe in the belief system.
exactly.
And you know how many people follow the media and believe every word that comes out of that television?
Yes.
That's what I call it, a television.
Yeah.
Hell, I quit watching sports and everything because of it.
It's nothing but crap. You're absolutely right.
I started a conversation with a guy behind me, you know, because he was talking about politics. And No, I basically just said to him that politics and religion are the two worst things to talk to people about because people get angry over it. Uh, but I don't think you can hear him and some of his answers. But I had a really good conversation with the gentleman, and I'll leave whatever audio on here, and hopefully you can hear some of what he says back, or if he agrees or disagrees with me.
It's all a business, yeah.
Yeah, big game they play with you. And today, hell, what do you believe? You know, I mean, you can hardly believe anything you see on that television. I mean, all these, I don't know, terrorists attack and whatnot. Sometimes I think they're all setups. they want to make this president look bad.
Well, they say that's what happened with 9/11. Bush knew that was happening.
Well, why do you think he was down here in Florida?
Of course.
Only, I mean, if you go and see or watch all of these different,
I've seen it like the documentaries on it.
yeah, the engineers,
Yeah.
they say that there's no way that those buildings could have fell at free fall speed the way that they did. And Building 7 was the key, because Building 7 just had a few fires in it, but it dropped like a demolition.
It was pre-staged.
And who was that? Something Goldstein or Goldstein, Larry Goldstein, I think. He said, pull it. Well, what demolition crew would go inside of a burning building with explosives to set it up to demolish the building? That's not going to happen. So the detonations already had to be in the building for that to occur.
I believe that. I believe it was all set up prior to those planes hitting.
Yeah, they even showed some of the beams, the I-beams at 9/11 after they were trying to clean it up.
That were already cut.
Cut on a 45-degree angle. You know, and then they talk about that nanothermite. It's, you know, they can put that thermite on a car engine and it'll burn a hole right through the block like butter. Just absolutely amazing. They say that the person that was in charge of the security at 9/11 was Melvin Bush.
How coincidental is that, right?
He was also had a job with United Airlines for the security there too. It was like the plane that supposedly hit the World Trade Center didn't look like a passenger airline. It was a gray plane. You know, people say it was a hologram covering up a missile. And they have, I mean, I don't know if you've seen any technology on holograms today, what they can do with holograms. They can actually make it look like a big dragon coming up out of the water out here. And all it is a hologram. But you'd see it as a dragon. It's crazy. They did that, I think it was in Japan, where they did this show out over the water where they had this dragon coming up out of the water. And they did another one inside of a gymnasium where a whale comes up out of the floor and just splashes back into the floor with, you know, and it looked like water going everywhere, but it was just a gymnasium. Yeah, there's a guy named Ron Johnson on YouTube that has some really good videos about the 9/11.
Oh, he does?
Oh yeah. Some real killer videos about 9/11 that really make you think about, you know, was our government involved? Was it an inside job? I mean, who benefited from it? The military-industrial complex, of course, because they got to sell their war products, right? Well, you can't sell any war products if there's not a war going on. You got to create the war. How do you do it? Fake a terrorist attack. No, about, I mean, I'm half and half on Trump.
Well, so am I.
But you know why I am? Because the media is so against him. I like him.
Same here.
But some of the stuff that he does, I'm sitting there going, you know, what the hell is your issue here? Why are you giving this um, organization all this money when you know it's bullshit? Always wonder about the issue with cancer too. You know, all this money that people donate to these cancer societies, you know, all they have to do is, I guess they could even go as low as like 10%. So they can pocket 90% and just give 10% to the cause. I think they already have cures for cancer, but hell, they don't want us to have them. Hell no, they want you to die so you don't get your Social Security. They get to keep it.
All these things I just talked about are my own personal opinions. Um, they should not reflect your opinion. If you have the same opinion that I'm having, then that is great. If you don't have the same opinion, that's fine too, because we all have our own outlooks on our life. We have our own outlooks on our government, whether they're out there doing good for the people or whether they're out there doing bad for the people. But you know, most people, I think deep down inside, they do realize that our government is not for the American people. I mean, look, we go around the world trying to control everybody, every country, and I don't think it's right. So, you know, I voice my opinion on it, whether people like it or not. That's up to them. Um, but this sun is going to get into some awesome shapes. So keep your eye on it, and I think you'll enjoy it. I really do. I think you'll see it in a different outlook, different perspective.
His name again? Ron Johnson?
Ron Johnson. Some really good videos though. And I'm trying to think of the lady that wrote a book about dustification. God, why can't I think of her name? He brings her up on his channel, but she's totally changed her tune now. They got to her, you know. In other words, you keep opening that trap and we're going to close it for you. Like, you know, they've had people that have invented like carburetors that you get 100 miles to the gallon. Well, the oil companies go in and they buy his patent. They just take that patent and just throw it in a corner somewhere or burn it because they don't want you getting 100 gallons or 100 miles to the gallon. There was a guy that he invented a motor that ran off of water, and he proved it. Even it was on the news. They were all ranting and raving about it and everything, and the oil companies came in and wanted to buy him out, and he refused to. Well, right at this restaurant where they went to, all of a sudden he drops dead, but before he dies, he yells out, "I've been poisoned. They're killing me." Well, they didn't want people to have his patent. They don't want you to be able to run your vehicle off of water. Hell, they'd put the oil industry out of business. You know, people say, that's just a conspiracy. You know where the word conspiracy actually came from? From the CIA back in was that 63 or 63 when President Kennedy got killed? You know, it all became a big conspiracy. So the word conspiracy was created by them to make you think that conspiracies are fake. They're not real. There's nothing to them, nothing about them. Wow, that is the weirdest sunset I think I've ever seen. Well, I got a solar filter on my camera. That's why it totally looks different. I've been waiting to do a sunset where it gets without all the clouds blocking it out before it gets to the water's edge.
Horizon. Horizon equals horizontal plane. And this is the horizontal plane that we are on. And you can only see whatever's in your line of sight. So the sun is not going over the curvature of Earth. It is an illusion. You cannot see beyond the edge of that table line of sight. This is the way I see it, folks. So, you know, the ones that will call me a nut, a crazy guy, a flatard, a retard, that I shouldn't have any children. Well, if they go out and do the observations that I have, you know, they might change their own mind. Because, like I said in the very beginning, I did when I got my camera, I went out to kind of prove that there was curvature out there. And a sunset does not prove curvature. And you can do small scale experiments that will prove this. Now, this sun is actually getting smaller and smaller within itself. And you'll notice it as it gets smaller here, how this shape change is going to go into almost a pyramid form, a pyramid shape. And right there at the end of that pyramid is where the sun actually is. And again, remember, this is my opinion. And strictly my opinion. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This was some of the best footage that I ever did. And I've got some boat footage following this. I called it a sunset, but to me it's a sun retreat. It's just the sun retreating out of my line of sight, out of my line of vision. And you can still see the light being emitted up from it. But it has gone past that line of sight, like I say. There's no way that you can bring that back. The only way that you could bring this back is if you yourself was to, okay, I took my solar filter, was to increase your height. Just like looking at my board experiment, you have to increase your height in order to see farther or more of that surface of that table. So in order to see more of the surface of Earth, you'd have to increase your height. Plain and simple. It's common sense shit, people. Common sense shit. So think about it.
So Nick told me that. He goes, Nick, that's my boss. He's like, you know, I was just fucking with you. Your asshole. It's like, I could tell you were extremely snippy. Yeah, I want to be fucking with you. You're still an asshole.
Wow. That's another bird rack out there. See its light already flashing?
You know, just looking at this one bird rack with its light flashing, this is like the third one out. And a lot of times I cannot even get that light flashing on certain days. Even with my tripod up higher on the seawall, and it even still being a low tide, I still would not get to see this due to that mirroring effect. Like I show in a lot of my videos, how that mirroring effect creates like a blind, and it keeps you from seeing anything past it. It actually hides objects behind it. It's kind of hard to explain it, but I bet if I was a magician, I could explain it very well, and even see how these water layer lines are out there. These are different areas where it could be mirroring at if we had high humidity, or bright sun shining directly on it. Because like I said, if you go back and you look at a lot of my videos in the past, you can see proof of it right there. So, you know, again, you know, I could go back and I could take all these little videos, I could chop them up and make another long video explaining all this and showing all of this, and really get heavy into it. But, you know, I spend a lot of time doing what I do out here, and you get to see a dolphin there too. So all this time that I've spent doing these observations, I put them out there for you guys to use for study. And if you don't use them, I'm not going to go back and make a video using all of this, all my material, just to prove the facts that, you know, if you would have been looking and watching and paying attention to detail, you would have already seen it. I'm going to add in another part of my cell phone camera. I don't think I'm going to wind up putting it in the exact spot like I did the first part, but I'm just going to stick it in here so you can see that my camera is still at the same area. Hang on. Alright, I'm going for the sun right now. So I gotta shut it off and get ready to videotape the sun.
say that.
Last time I got with
Missy. Only person my mother used to call me Missy.
I shaved my face and did do that because we don't live those in a run. But I'm not
I think I should do it great. I think so shit like that. Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Come on, boat, hurry up.
That's my car, yes. Yeah, here I am in this car. Look at it. God putting got arrested in my car. Lost my license.
Okay, I didn't install this part of the video in retrospect to the, where I should have inserted it, but I just figured I'd insert it in here because this is around about the same area that I was filming this part with my cell phone. Just again to just show you that my camera and all my tripod's still down here in the same spot at the same height. So again, I'm not trying to fool anybody. Even my camera was picking up a really nice video, but I don't have a whole lot of storage space on it, so it ends right around well, shortly after this. I ran out of space on my cell phone, so that was it for cell phone videos, but I was still able to take some pictures. And then the next part's back to the original video.
I will admit, I would have liked to see it. I do not want to. I do not want to. I said I would have liked to.
Oh my god, that was perfect. I love you.
Now watch this boat come into perspective of this bird rack, and the bird rack is almost 4 miles away, and this boat is well beyond that bird rack. Look at the size difference. Man, that boat is miles beyond it. So what water is this boat riding on? I'm telling you, just little slivers of water. The farther away you get from the camera, could be miles and miles of water. But you don't see it that way. That's why I say get down on a coffee table or a big long table and get down even with it, and you'll see that you'll turn that surface into a sliver. And that's what we're looking at out there, is a sliver. And look at this other object that's way out there too. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is. It could be a sign, could be another boat, it could be almost anything. But again, I present my observations for everybody's use. and if they want to use it, they can. I tell people I don't hold copyrights on my stuff. So if you want to use it, use it. You want to give me credit for doing the video, that's fine. But if you don't, that's fine too. I don't really care about credit anymore. People get mad because other people use your stuff. They get angry. And this is actually two boats. It ain't one, it's two. So you can see which one's in front of who and who's in front of who or who's behind who. Um, so again, this is all for your visual use, for you to research. And it's up to you if you want to research with it or not. I don't tell anybody they have to. That's for damn sure. This is my own personal proof.
I know, but you're aware of it.
Watch these rocks. Block out the bottoms of those boats. I should not see these boats, people. And I sure don't see them with my naked eye. That's one damn thing I can tell you right now. Sorry about that, but I gotta bend down here. I just want to let you see where I had my camera set at again. I mean, I'm way down at the water's edge here. Look at that right there, kind of. That's what happens out there. It's a whiteout. This is crazy. I should not be seeing this boat. Or that one. I'm going to do some time lapse. I think I proved my point with this right here.
Leave all the little flowers. Nothing gonna do without me. We're getting more colors. I was getting ready to go.
Yeah, it just got prettier out there, didn't
All
it?
of a sudden, in the last 2 minutes.
Alright, I'm going to end this video with 2 time lapse, 10-minute time lapse. Slowed down at 0.25%. And then the next one, I zoom in a little bit more and do another 10-minute time lapse. So you get a little bug flying in front of there. But you get a little bit of different perspective. Like I said, like, share, use if you want. Cut it, do whatever you want with my videos. It doesn't matter to me. I'm out here doing them for you guys anyhow. So I hope you appreciate them and you use them. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. Okay? Alright, thanks for watching, man. I know this was another long one, but I think you had a lot of good visual proof in it. So, again, I hope you enjoyed it and liked it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.